In order to complete the square on this one, since it has a leading coefficient of 3 and not 1, in other words, the x squared term has a 3 in front instead of just being a plain old x squared or a 1x squared, what we're going to have to do is divide everything by 3 just to get started, because then the steps will work, but they only work if you have an x squared term that doesn't have another coefficient besides 1 in front of it. So that's the first step. Divide everything by 3. So we have x squared plus 6x plus 10 over 3. And that's equal to 0. So we want to take our x term, and we need to take half of that, and we need to square it. So we're going to have, I'm going to do that to the side here. We'll have 6, and it's positive that we're going to divide by 2, and then we're going to square that, which in other words is just 3 squared, or 9. Now that's what we want to add to both sides of our equation. And I'm going to go ahead and move the 10/3 to the other side. That way I'll have a perfect square. I'll have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals, and to get the 10/3 over, it's added, so I'm going to have to subtract it from both sides of the equation. So if I subtract it off the left-hand side, I get a 0 there, so I don't have to worry about that term anymore. But on the right-hand side, I'll have the negative 10/3. And I have to add 9 on that side because I did on the left-hand side. That's what I added to both sides of the equation. On the left-hand side, that's going to give us a perfect square. It's going to be x plus 3 quantity squared. And the plus 3 is always that number you get when you take the coefficient of your x from the step before and take half. So you keep the sign of whatever that is and that term. So that's why it's x plus 3 quantity squared. That's because we do this so that it will make that the perfect square. Now that is equal to, and I've got to clean this up a bit. So I need to change my 9 so that it is a fraction with 3 as a denominator. Right now it's 9 over 1 if I want to make it look like a fraction, but I need it to have a denominator of 3 in order to combine those two terms. So I'm going to change that by multiplying top and bottom by 3 so that I get a negative 10/3 plus 27/3. So what I have is x plus 3 squared is equal to a positive 17 over 3, 17/3, because when I combine those, positive 27, negative 10. So I get a 17/3. Now I need to take the square root of both sides. I can do that, and I'll have an x plus 3 on the left-hand side, and I have this square root of 17 over 3 on the right-hand side. And I cannot write that legibly very well on my tablet here. So the last step is to subtract 3, and that's plus or minus. Now when we take the square root, we have the positive or negative version of that when we have square root of 17 over 3. So the last step is to subtract 3 from both sides so that you get it to say x equals. So if we do that, we will have a negative 3 because we'll have to subtract that 3. So we'll have a negative 3 plus or minus 17 square roots of 3. That's that answer right there. I hope this makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't, and I will try again. I know this is a little bit messy.